Welcome back everyone to episode 30 of the Sim Racing Show. It's the biggest sim racing show ever. By the end of this, you are going to be up to date with all of the news in the world of sim racing, because I went with the Sim Racing Show to Germany to the 2024 Sim Racing Expo, and I just hunted down all of the biggest, all of the mid-range, all of the budget and boutique sim racing companies and asked them the questions that I know you want answered. So I chatted a lot with Fanatec, Thrustmaster, Logitech, Simucube, Camus, Pimax, Conspit, and so many more companies basically. So there were over 80 exhibitors, and I was just flat out from open till the lights coming off, and some really interesting things. So I would say the star of the show really for me was the Simucube Active Pedal, but interestingly, hidden away, I saw SimMagic also have a active pedal. I don't think it's going to be called an active pedal, but I spoke a lot with Tyler at SimMagic to understand the differences in active pedals. This is the new technology in braking. It's kind of awkward for all of the manufacturers, hardware manufacturers making load cells, because they say that the load cells are incredible and they have incredible materials, but the active pedals are just a generational leap in terms of adjustability and performance. Also, big shout out to Pimax. Pimax were on site with their VR Crystal, Pimax Crystal headsets, working flat out so that many people as possible could just get a VR headset on that's adjusted for them and just decide, have first impressions whether they like it or not. And so many people could get on the active pedals, so many people could get on the VR headsets as well. Fanatec, who I've been covering for such a long time, the Corsa acquisition has now closed. They're moving into this new era working with Corsair. It was really interesting. Basically, they came with 5 new products. They came with a CSL Porsche Vision Gran Turismo wheel. They finally released the Bentley wheel with very little lag actually on the screen. They released a new Club Sport handbrake with a load cell in it. And they also released the Fanatec Club Sport cockpit, which is really the Corsair cockpit. And I spoke a lot with the engineer of that cockpit, the designer, who's a Corsair designer. And it was pretty cool to see it now in part of the Fanatec family. Very interesting rig, that one. By the way, it's going to be a separate video covering Fanatec. I was asking them, obviously, the questions that you know I'm going to ask them and getting the answers. So a lot of interesting conversations with Fanatec. But I felt a lot of positivity about Fanatec in terms of a lot of new products and also updates to the software as well. And I was able to get a lot of hands-on time with ASSETTO Corsa EVO. So ASSETTO Corsa EVO is probably the biggest, well, it's what everyone wanted to try at the Sim Racing Expo. And it's the thing I spent most of my time on. A lot of thoughts about it. And I was able to ask the developers, Kunos, a couple of questions as well. Modding. This is going to be controversial. ASSETTO Corsa EVO modding isn't going to be present in the early access. And we don't know how long the early access is going to be. So just a reminder, ASSETTO Corsa EVO coming out in January 2025 in early access, but no modding in early access. When modding eventually comes, it's going to be through Kunos. So Kunos want to oversee kind of the relationships with the manufacturers and licensees. It's going to be restricted, let's be honest about it, compared to ASSETTO Corsa, where you just have all these mods available through Content Manager. It's not going to be like that in ASSETTO Corsa EVO. I'm just going to be transparent with you. I think the game is starting at a much higher stage than ASSETTO Corsa, as you might expect, coming out 10 years later, but the modding scene is going to be very different. Free roam officially confirmed, and there's lots of attention they've been giving free roam. It isn't, as I was speaking and hearing and listening, something that they've tacked on. They've actually been designing this for a long time. They've got a terrain system. They understand people like doing things like canyons. They want to facilitate real-world locations, and they've got some procedural generation stuff as well, so you don't have to go through loading screens. You can just keep driving. So free roam's going to be big. I spent a lot of time, like I said, on ASSETTO Corsa EVO on different rigs, trying to understand the different hardware with it. There was a race in the Porsche 911 GT3 GT Cup. There was an Alpine A1110 at Bathurst in the rain, which was very interesting and deceiving a little bit. And there was a Hyundai front-wheel drive car at Brands Hatch at Bathurst. I say deceiving because you start the time trial in the wet, but there's a load of grip. But by the end, dynamically, there are rivers, there are puddles. You're doing a lot of aquaplaning. So it was a great demo for them to show. And the Kunos team, you could see, really tight-knit, really competent, and but not a very big team. So let's see what's going to happen there. They also announced a partnership with SimGrid. So some of the multiplayer in Assetto Corsa Evo is going to be through SimGrid. Very controversial because Low Fuel Motorsport has like breathed a lot of life into Assetto Corsa and Assetto Corsa Competizione, and they've sort of, I guess, looks like they've been shunned. I don't think the SimGrid thing is exclusive, but there'll be a lot of people ready to criticize that integration if it doesn't offer as much flexibility as people have now. There is going to be some daily racing in Assetto Corsa Evo as well. I've got a lot of content coming on Assetto Corsa Evo where I've been going through all of the settings in the game. I'm not sure I was meant to, but I went through all of the settings and trying a lot of different stuff, driving in third person as well, and asking esports drivers what they think of it, giving my impressions. That's all coming. Lots of content coming as well. Simicube Active Pedals, Pimax VR, Fanatec, and a lot of crazy simulators with motion as well that are now quite a lot more refined. I was disappointed, and I'm not sure anyone else is going to say this. I was really disappointed by the lack of software at the Sim Racing Expo. And I think that concerns me about the sim racing scene. Basically, it was 99% hardware and 99% amazing hardware and 90% very expensive hardware with a couple of exceptions. But everyone's playing it on the same sims, like iRacing, like Assetto Corsa Competizione. Yes, Evo's coming, but like I said, it's a small team. I'm surprised we didn't see Le Mans Ultimate there. I'm surprised we didn't see AMS2 there. I'm not sure I saw any AMS2 running. I'm surprised we didn't see Project Motorsport, and we feel like I feel like we're getting to the point where there's lots of hardware options that we're playing on the same sims. And I think that just shows how difficult development of sims is at the moment. So fingers crossed for Assetto Corsa Evo, but I hope to see more competition in the actual software side so we can use this amazing hardware on new sims. Now, most of it was high-end. However, I spent a lot of time with Thrustmaster. You've all been asking about T598. I was asking them really difficult questions about why they chose that price point, why they chose that 5 Newton meter, what kind of materials they went for, the style of the pedals, etc. Had a long interview with their head of R&D actually, trying to understand this new technology and cogging and whether it's actually an issue or it's not. Playing the T598 extensively on PlayStation and PC. So I've got a lot of content on that coming, but my initial thoughts are it's very, very, very refined, like the T818, even though it's different technology, but it's very light as well. It's very light. Like this T818 gets quite heavy actually. You might have seen the footage of me kind of like really pushing it through. I'm not sure out of the box the T598 is going to give you that experience. And from what I understand from Thrustmaster, they want to have that very smooth delivery, but it might be the case that you can tweak it. It might be the case that if you want a bit of a heavier experience, you can tweak it. So those are my initial thoughts. Obviously, an Expo, they need to have it set up for everyone, people of all different shapes and sizes, but a very refined experience. They are laser focused on the price point. I spoke a lot with Logitech as well, asked all your questions about H-pattern shifters and whether there's going to be a G Pro for 20 Newton meters and all that kind of stuff. That's coming as well. Interesting that Logitech kind of sit with the G Pro at a much higher price point, over £1,000 really for the whole bundle, and more than 10 Newton meters, and Thrustmaster sit underneath that, €499, $499 for a 5 Newton meter bundle where you have a rim, the 598, and the pedals as well. So they're not really in competition there. Thrustmaster also did reveal an insane hypercar rim that reminds me of another rim that you're going to see a video on it very shortly, where you see these brands now going into insane level rims as sort of like hero products. So that was fun to see at the low end. Obviously, SimLab kind of came out with some insanely like 35 Newton meter direct drive systems. There were some very expensive rigs as well. Cooler Master with some $27,000 rigs. A lot of motion rigs as well. VPG coming out with a officially licensed Mustang GT3 wheel for about $1,600, $700. So a lot of wheels and equipment in the thousands of dollar range, but it was really refreshing to actually see Thrustmaster come in at that price point. And also Logitech as well with their hub system. I was able to see some of the mods that are coming in the market, particularly from like ASSETTO, doing like full carbon fiber, not stickers, but full carbon fiber, full kind of aluminium as well, at a very, very, very aggressive price point. You can get a rim for like $59. So you know me, I really like the budget stuff, and I try and appreciate the journey, because more of us are spending more time on budget equipment. That's the reality of it. So many new things announced. Conspit, absolutely insane. So many new products from Conspit at a very aggressive price point. And SimMagic as well, with their competitor to the Active Pedal. I think is going to start an Active Pedal revolution. It was interesting to see Camus as well come with like a bigger range of products. They're slotting in a C8 in between their C5 and C12. And it's interesting to see Camus have a big presence there, because there's always question marks about some of these newer companies, whether you're going to get the equipment or whether it's actually reliable. ASSETTO with a huge booth and understanding the philosophy of ASSETTO. They've recently announced a console license, and I quizzed them about that and understanding, is the Invicta stuff going to work on console? How are they going to create stuff for console in that price point, but still maintain the ASSETTO experience for such a new company in sim racing? Obviously, it's a big, behind the scenes, they do a lot of pumps and whatnot, but relatively new in sim racing. So much to talk about. So just honestly, and by the way, so awesome to see so many subscribers, and so many of you were talking about the Fanatec content and saying that you really appreciate it, which is insane. It was so incredible to give you gifts as well. I bought a load of gifts over from England, like personal branded stuff, so hopefully you enjoy that. And it's a real community, and I really felt it, and it really gives me the passion. So if you're not subscribed, now's the perfect time to subscribe as well. Hopefully we're going to hit that 100k. So much content coming from the Sim Racing Expo and new news. It's going to be thick and fast. So please, if you see it, if you enjoy it, please support it. Hit the like button, leave a comment. Let me know any more questions you have, because now I feel like I have really good connections with the big companies in sim racing. I can ask them directly now your questions. So just put them in the comments. I will get the answers for you. I'm not here to flog affiliate products or just overhype stuff. You know me. I'm here to just actually understand about the companies, actually understand about the products, because I think that's the best thing to do long term. I want to be recommending products that people are genuinely going to enjoy, and we're all spending our hard-earned money on it. So Sim Racing Show this week, episode 30, like I said, the biggest, and there's going to be just pretty much daily content now. So hope you enjoy it, and yeah, a really exciting time for sim racing, but hope to see more software.